Hey, ecofictologists! Where's my glass of water? Hey ecofictologists, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lovis and it is time for another round of TBR MASH. If you have no idea what this is, TBR MASH is my monthly TBR game, my monthly to-be-read game that decides what I read that month based on a combination of these prompts. Just a roll of the dice and I know which genre, age category, miscellaneous prompt, and which region of the world it should be from, where the author should be from, and then I consult my handy dandy database that I have created and my handy dandy bit of code that will tell me which of the titles in that database correspond to that particular combination of prompts. I'll link the intro video in the description as well as up here. That would be March's video, and then April's video also gives you a bit more of an intro to the code and the database. So if you're interested in that, check out the playlist for TBR MASH. For the rest of you, we're just gonna jump right in. Okay, roll number 1. 2. Got a sci-fi, ooh, an adult sci-fi, in a series set in Asia. For this, I didn't have very many options in my TBR. In fact, I only had 2. My bit of code went through my TBR database and spat out A History of Bees by Maja Lunde. Actually, I have that here. A History of Bees by Maja Lunde. Now, she is a Norwegian author, but A History of Bees takes place across 3 timelines, one in the past, one in the near future, and one in the far future. And the one in the far future is 2098, set in China. The book is all about bees and beekeepers of the past, present, and future, looking forward to a time where we've pretty much gotten rid of all of our pollinators, and bees are not so common anymore. This is the first book in the Climate Quartet series. It is a book I have been dying to read for a really, really long time. And it's a book I conveniently already own, which is excellent. The other option I had in my TBR database was The Three-Body Problem, the first book in the Remembrance of Earth's Past series by Cixin Liu. The description of this on Goodreads, it doesn't sound really super eco-fiction-y to me. It's all about an alien invasion, but I have been recommended this book because there is a debate going on amongst the peoples of Earth whether they should fight this invasion or allow it, because humans cannot be trusted to be top of the food chain on Earth. Look what we've done to it. We've destroyed it. So maybe we should just let somebody else take over. That seems to be an interesting take on the situation, so this might be one of those books that I only decide after reading it whether it is eco-fiction or not. Eco-fiction definition can be so very broad. It does suit the prompt a bit better because it's written by an Asian author and it's set in Asia. All of it is set in Asia, but I do own this one and I've been dying to read it. I really, really want to read it. So I think I'm gonna go with this one, keeping The Three-Body Problem for another time where this prompt will inevitably come up. Clearly, I need to find more adult Asian sci-fi series, because I only have 2. If it hadn't had to be in a series, I would have chosen Waist Tide by Chen Qiufan. I started this book a while ago and didn't finish it. I'm not entirely sure why. I think I got distracted by something shiny. But that is also set in China in the future, and it's going into the filthy world of electronics recycling on Silicon Isle. And yeah, pollution and recycling and international relations and things. So if I finish The History of Bees, I might go back to Waist Tide. I have that on audiobook, so I might actually make it. We'll see by the end of the month whether I manage that. Okay, roll number 2. 4. Contemporary, YA, inspired by something happening on YouTube, also set in Asia. Role number 2 was a contemporary YA set in Asia or written by an Asian author, and it has to be inspired by something on YouTube. It is the month of Asian Readathon on YouTube. It's like TBR MASH new. After consulting my TBR and my code, it only spat out one title, and that was The Dragonfly Sea by Yvonne Adhiambo Owuor. She's a Kenyan author, but the story goes from Kenya across to Turkey and to China. The notes that I made say that there's a tsunami, and it gives a very strong sense of place. As beautiful as The Dragonfly Sea sounds, the point of the Asian Readathon really is to celebrate Asian main characters and Asian authors, and neither of those two things apply to this book or this author. So I kept digging. I don't know why, but it was difficult for me to find contemporary YA set in Asia, so if you have any recommendations for that, please link them down below. But I did find Animals People by Indra Sinha. This is about a boy who was crippled by the poisonous fumes that came out of a factory explosion, I think, in a very polluted part of India, and has spent all his life walking on all fours, getting street smart and getting by on his wits. He's pulled into a kind of a game of intrigue and scams involving corrupt officials when an American doctor comes to town hoping to help but gets into a whole lot of trouble, it sounds like. And the Goodreads description says it's scathingly honest, but also very funny. The premise doesn't sound very funny, but apparently the main character, Animal, because he has to walk around on all fours like an animal, apparently he maintains his sense of humor. So this sounds like a great book, hard-hitting, but the topics of pollution and that the poorer classes are kind of stuck next to all the horrible factories and experience really terrible living conditions so that the upper classes can be far away from the factories is definitely an environmental issue. Clean air, clean water, they're environmental issues. So this is ecofiction to me. It might be slightly historical. I don't know if it's set kind of right now contemporary, but it's not sci-fi and it's not fantasy, so I'm counting it. And I'll be trying to get my hands on a copy of that. And I have added it to my database, which is it's just continuously growing. It's getting so long. Anyway, that was Animals People by Indra Sinha. Role number 3. 6. That'll do. Ooh, fantasy, middle grade. That is self-published or published by a small publishing house. Oh, set in Africa or written by an author from Africa. I love that. Role number 3 was a middle grade fantasy set in Africa or written by an African author, and it has to be indie published. I knew as soon as I rolled it that this was going to be tricky, and I was right. My TBR database spat out 0 results. Oh. So I did more research, and I did find A Chameleon, a Boy, and a Quest by J.A. Myhre. It's set in Africa. It's about a little boy who comes across a talking chameleon and they go on an adventure together across Africa. The author herself is not from Africa but has been living there for like 20 years in Eastern Africa working as a doctor. My only issue with this book is that the publisher, New Growth Press, is a Christian publisher, and they explicitly state in their mission that they want to bring people closer to Christ. And that immediately gets my hackles up because it makes me slightly uncomfortable reading a book that has this kind of explicit agenda, that they're trying to push something on me. I'm mentioning it here because it does suit the prompt, and if it doesn't bother you, then, and you're looking for middle grade fantasy set in Africa, then this is a title that suits. It just doesn't sit quite right with me. So I kept looking, and my other option is bending the rules slightly, but it is The House of Rust by Khadija Abdalla Bajaber. And it's a magical realist tale, coming of age tale, told through the lens of the Swahili and diasporic Hadrami culture in Mombasa, Kenya. It's about a young girl whose father goes missing at sea, and she climbs into a magical skeleton boat along with a talking cat, and she has to face down sea monsters and the father of all sharks to get her father back. Because it's a coming-of-age story, it sounds more YA, but I don't actually know the age of the main character. It doesn't say in any of the descriptions, so I don't actually know how old she is, so we will reserve judgment for whether this is middle grade or YA. But even if it's YA, it sounds wonderful, and I do want to read it. And it is independently published by Grey Wolf Press, and it just kind of interests me more, so that's the one I'll be going for. That is The House of Rust by Khadija Abdalla Bajaber for roll number 3. Roll number 3, that's what we're on, roll number 3. So just for fun, let's see what I'll be drinking and where I will be reading. 3. Ooh, I'll be drinking beer. In my hanging chair. Okay, I could do that. I drink beer in my hanging chair all the time. And I will be drinking beer in my hanging chair. That sounds lush to me, actually. The weather has been getting nicer and nicer, so just kicking back in my nice swingy egg chair with the cold beer. Don't have to twist my arm too much for that. So those were my 3 rolls. We have The History of Bees by Maja Lunde. That satisfied the prompt of adult sci-fi set in Asia that is part of a series. And if I finish that, then I will read Waist Tide by Qiufan. We've got Animals People by Indra Sinha, which satisfies the prompt of contemporary YA set in Asia that's inspired by something on YouTube or social media, for which I am using the Asian Readathon, and I will provide links to that in the description. And The House of Rust by Khadija Abdalla Bajaber, which satisfies the prompt of middle grade fantasy set in Africa and published by an independent press. This might turn out to be YA, we're gonna reserve judgment until I've read it, but either way, it sounds great. I am very excited about my choices this month, and I'm looking forward to telling you all about them. I also love that the prompts stretched me a bit. If you go back to the video last week, I speak very plainly about the fact that my TBR has giant holes in it and does not represent every region of the world equally, and I love that I am slowly but surely filling those holes with the help of this game. This is also addressing my ongoing resolution to read from a more diverse scope of authors, so just everything about this is good. If you like this video and my TBR game, then give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't already, I post every Wednesday all about reading and writing ecofiction and how it can be used as a science communication tool. If you like what I do and would like to support me, then head on over to patreon.com/ecofictology and become a patron, where your monthly donation buys me books and also supports Love the Oceans, a marine conservation organization operating out of Mozambique. If you're looking for a little bit of community around your ecofiction reading, then join us on our Rewilding Our Stories Discord server. Everybody is welcome. We have great conversations. We run a book club. We share resources. It's all good, and you're most welcome. Invite link is in the description below. And that is all from me, so happy reading, and I will see you next week, ecofictologists.